What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another HBCU Huddle episode. I am CJ, joined alongside, as always, by Mike Wallace. Mike is back on the road in Toronto with the Grizzlies. Mike, how's it going up there in Canada?
Hey, it's going great, man. I'm on the lookout for Drake, and I hadn't seen him. As a matter of fact, anyone seen him since we got the Super Bowl coming up next week, man. So,
yesterday I saw a video, and I'm not sure if it was from pre-Grammy or Monday or Tuesday, but yesterday I saw a video that had Drake coming out on stage. I guess I don't know where he was walking out in. He was somewhere about to perform, and he had a sweater on with a bunch of bullet holes and smoke behind him. I guess like he been hit. I don't know, man. These people are weird. I don't understand. I don't understand this beef. I just know that Kendrick Lamar has made it to the Super Bowl based purely off of being a hater, right? Like that's why he had the Pulitzer Prize award, right? Didn't he get a Pulitzer for one of his albums? He's had a couple of platinum albums, a bunch of really, really successful tracks. But last time, we saw him at the Super Bowl, it was him in a group, right? He was invited. Like Dr. Dre is there. Dr. Dre's like, oh, okay, Mary come and Snoop come and 50 come and M come and Kendrick, you come too, right? Like he was a add-on, and now he's turned being hating into a really cool, profitable, lucrative thing. He gets to perform at the Super Bowl.
Yeah. There's the jury is still out on how good that performance is going to be. There's a lot of pressure. Obviously, I think Usher even further, the expectation level of actually having it be something that we can understand, vibe to, and enjoy. Whereas I don't want that 20-minute set to be something that I gotta think about. What did he just say? Or we gotta watch it 3 or 4 times to understand what he meant. Subliminal messaging and all of that kind of stuff. Just come out and entertain the masses, man, and let's see if we can do it.
I think Kendrick can. He was. SZA's also going to be performing with him, so I think those are the two people performing. It's Kendrick's Super Bowl, but SZA's going to also be there, and I think both of them are really, really good performers. I think they understand what this moment is. We don't want to do too much thinking. If you want people to think, great, cool, but entertain us first, right? Like at least on the surface level, be entertaining on the surface, and then let everybody else do their deep dives and YouTube and TikTok videos on, here's the hidden meaning behind blah, 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 blah. I don't want the hidden meaning stuff. I like you, Mike, just want to be entertained. I think that a couple of the songs I'm most interested in, we are all the way off topic.
Hold on. We haven't established a topic yet.
We hadn't set the show yet. We have not set the show.
So nobody in the world knows. They think that this is what we were starting the show off to do anyway. And you know what? Why not? It's timely, right? That's the most timely thing that's happening. The Super Bowl is Sunday. By the time Sunday gets here, most people who are fans of HBCU Huddle will have already seen us and heard us. So why not come off the top rope with something that's relevant and timely right now? And we'll see. I'm always going to be in the camp, though, before you get to that point. I want to see, and I hope that there's a way for the Super Bowl, if not Kendrick Lamar, to at least honor some of the New Orleans music scene, New Orleans hip hop scene, New Orleans cultural festivals, and all of those kind of things. I need a New Orleans feel to this Super Bowl. And right now it doesn't have a New Orleans feel other than the location, but I need to see somebody from New Orleans or something from New Orleans represented on that stage at some point.
Not Kendrick. John Batiste is going to be doing the national anthem, Mike. And so I think that they are trafficking to get some of that New Orleans style and New Orleans feel. I feel like during opening night there was second line floating about around there performing. So they do a good job of that, bringing in the cultural components of a city before the actual game. Now once the game starts, ain't no culture. The only culture is football at that point. Take it how you get it. If Maroon 5 in Atlanta didn't show you that, I think that the Super Bowl thinks of itself and the NFL thinks of itself as bigger than any one sort of location. I disagree with it. I think that you should have New Orleans rappers, particularly the New Orleans hip hop scene, is something that I grew up with. I'm very familiar with. I love with all of my heart, from No Limit Soldiers
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Hot Boys and Young Money, like all of that really resonates with me. I would have loved to see Lil Wayne up on stage, but I think Jay-Z and Rock Nation and the NFL think, we're the NFL, it's the Super Bowl. We just need to get the best possible thing we can get. It doesn't have to really have a tie-in to a particular city. But I'm with you. I hope that he brings out some New Orleans flavor in his halftime performance, but there is some floating about there right now at the Super Bowl week as they prepare for the big game. Mike, is there a song from Kendrick that you want to hear him do?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, CJ. Like I've never gotten totally into Kendrick. I just haven't. I know he's critically acclaimed. I know that pop culture. He was pop culture's megastar at a certain point. He's hip hop's this generation's Floyd Mayweather, so to speak, of the hip hop game. But he doesn't do it for me. And I'm not being critical of him. It's just I think he's good. I don't think he's great. Now, I'm about to set off a whole bunch of alarms right here. I feel the exact same way about Beyonce. I don't think she's great. Commiserate to all of the accolades that she's gotten. I think she's really good, but that's just not for me. I'm one person. I don't mean to set off any alarms. I'm just saying. So you asked me a simple question. What do I want to hear from Kendrick Lamar?
Well, now I want to ring the alarm. I've been through this too long. I'll be damned, Mike, if I see another woman on your arm.
You know what I'm saying? They Not Like Us is probably the song I would want to hear, but I mean, it's not like I have. I'm gonna be honest. For the last 20 years, I've had different varying playlists. Kendrick Lamar hasn't been on one of them, right? He just hasn't. It's not that I'm omitting him. It's just that he doesn't rise to the level of, hey, this is somebody I'm going to go pursue. Nothing against him. I wish him the best. I know he's talented. He's remarkable. But yeah, this one isn't for me. That's what I'm saying. That's why I need the other elements of Super Bowl to come in and hit it out the park.
Mike
what about
Wallace, you? I don't know. Kendrick I recognize the greatness. I recognize how dynamic of an artist and a lyricist that he is, especially for this day and age. I would love to hear him do Humble, Damn, or what's the other one? Why am I blank? Backseat Freestyle, right? Like I would love to hear that. Pour Up, Drink, Headshot, Drink. Like I would like to hear some of that, but really Humble, Damn, and All Right. That's the other one for me.
Okay.
Those are the big three I would love to hear him do, okay. And I think that you can get the crowd really, really going, and the people at home really, really going with Humble. I know you can get them going with Humble. That beat
Humble
comes in,
and Damn.
And
yeah,
you can get them
right
going.
Yeah. Humble and Damn are right there. Those are probably the most commercialized ones that he's had that will cross over and capture people who might not follow him on a daily or periodic basis from that standpoint. You got to remember, this is a global audience, right? And he's global, right? When you accumulate the kind of accolades that he has, he's a global artist. But he's just not someone that's going to move me to that degree. No shame against it, nothing against him. Like you said, I can recognize his really, really goodness, potential greatness, and still enjoy the Super Bowl halftime.
Well, since you brought her up, man, let's Kyra Audible.
Let's
go ahead and talk about Beyonce, Mike.
I don't want to set off Kyra. This wasn't to set off the Kyra.
Too late. You done set her off. She's all in my ear yelling at me now, Mike.
All right. What does she got? What do we got? Where are we going with it, CJ?
Where are we going? Beyonce won a Grammy, 99 Grammy nominations, not just won a Grammy. She's won Grammys before, Mike, but she won the coveted Grammy, the one that she's been trying to get for many, many years. Finally, the Academy has, or are they the Academy? No, the Academy is the Academy Awards. The Recording Academy, they are the Academy. Thank you, Kyra. Finally, they've recognized her and given her, or not gave it to her, she earned it. She got Album of the Year. Cowboy Carter, Beyonce's first album of the year. All it took was 99 nominations. Fourth black woman to ever win Album of the Year. First black artist to ever win Best Country Album as well. On top of that, a really, really successful Grammy for Beyonce. Mike, can you name the other three black women to ever win Album of the Year?
Probably not. Because
you got one. I'm pretty sure you got one.
I would say. I mean, just in terms of greatness and contributions, I would think Janet Jackson.
No.
Okay.
Here's
Mariah
a,
Carey.
no, here's a hint for you.
Okay, hold on. Whitney Houston.
There, one. There you go.
Okay.
So you got the other one. You got one more. She only had one album.
She's only had one album?
She's only had one album. One solo album.
Damn.
It was one of the greatest albums of all time.
Oh, Lauryn Hill.
There we go. 2,
Lauryn
and then Natalie Cole, 3. So Lauryn Hill, Whitney Houston, Natalie Cole. Those are the other 3 black women to win album of the year.
So here's the thing, CJ. Congratulations, Beyonce. Next. You take it from here.
Listen, man.
Because you know what my grandmama always said, man, if you ain't got nothing nice to say and supportive to say of somebody in their moment of shining, then just go ahead and give them a head nod and move on. I think I will say this. I've always questioned the integrity of the Grammys because so many artists, like when you look at Stevie Wonder and you look at Marvin Gaye and you look at some of the greatest, Teddy Pendergrass, like count up how many nominations and awards that they've gotten Grammy wise, and then look at some of these, these late, newer artists who are getting them left and right because of the commercial success. I question the integrity of the Grammy process, and you can't tell me that Sade never won. Did Sade ever win a Grammy for Album of the Year?
No.
You know what I'm saying? And I mean, come on, yo. Like, again, congratulations, Beyonce. More power to her. I don't have a problem with her. That wasn't my album. I've never listened to it, intentionally. I think it's a fabricated album from that standpoint. I think it's manufactured to get this award, and she got it based on her influence and power in the industry. But she won it. So I congratulate her. I'm not gonna hate on her, man. I mean, she's a beautiful woman. She's an incredible artist. She's had longevity, and she's brought a lot of people along the way with her and exposed some things, that has uplifted an entire community based on, what she's been able to do. So more power to her. I don't hate on Beyonce. I definitely respect her. She's just not she's not in my wheelhouse when it comes to what I think is greatness.
Beyonce could have no Grammy nominations. She could have not won Album of the Year for this, and she still would be great. I'm with you on the what does winning a Grammy actually mean part of this. What does that mean as far as how I perceive what you are as an artist? It's one of those things where, hey, you got to recognize it. Grammys matter in that industry for whatever reason, but that's not how I go about defining success in the music industry. That's not how I go about deciding, hey, is this an artist worth listening to? Is this an artist worth buying tickets for? In that sort of a way. No, I use my ears, man. For me, music is, everybody knows, music is art, and art has to hit you in a special place. I really can't describe it. It has to make you feel things that either you really, really want to feel or things you hadn't felt before. And for a lot of people, Beyonce does that. Beyonce is really, really relatable for hundreds of millions of people out there. And even if she never won a Grammy, even if she never got nominated for a Grammy, even if she didn't earn this Grammy right here for Album of the Year, she would still be somebody that hundreds of millions of people will relate to and vibe with and think was incredible. So that's really how I gauged this. For so long, the Recording Academy has kind of lumped black music in one thing, right? So if you're black, you got to be rap, hip hop, or R&B. You can't be anything else. And it's prevented a bunch of artists, a handful of artists, from really being recognized for their uniqueness and for the creativity of various albums. I think Tyler, the Creator, was the last one. I was like, okay, all right, this is why is he in the, I forget what the name of the album was, but it was, why is he in the rap category? Like, this is not a rap album. And he talks about it, being a genre bender at times. They really struggle with where to place you, and so they just stick you with all the other black people. And then, all right, good, we're good to go. Beyonce, Renaissance was nominated and was a dance hall for Album of the Year, I do believe, and that didn't win, and people thought that it should have. And this one, I feel like, to your point, Mike, she really went out of her way. All right, Recording Academy, what is your critique of Renaissance? What is it that you guys like and don't like? Why are these other albums winning when my album is the one that gets the people in the fields? My album is driving tours that are routinely selling out in the biggest, highest of profile venues, not just in the United States, but around the globe. And I think one of the things was that she did really, really well on this album, Cowboy Carter, is her use of live music, like actual like instruments. I think that's something that's really, really big for the Grammys. And for whatever reason, the Recording Academy needs sort of proof of concept live. And it's not lost on me that she did do the Texans Ravens performance on Netflix, where at halftime of that game she got out there and she did a halftime show, and it was just Cowboy Carter. And I think that certainly helped her out as well. But listen, whether she got this award or not, I keep going back to it because I think it's the truth. Whether she got it or not, she was still going to be a phenomenal artist. She would still go down as one of the best artists of her generation and one of the best all time. Whether or not we rock with her or not, everything she does not resonate with me. Let me be clear. But I'm around people who it does resonate with. And listen, man, as long as they're smiling and dancing along, I love when ladies have a smile on their face and they dancing along to stuff, man. So shout out to her and kudos to her. She was going to be great, and she is great, whether she got the Grammy Award or not, Mike.
And you know what? I do want to leave you with the last word on that, because I thought you articulated that really, really, really well. And we're just in a space now as a society where, you know what, like, when was the last time somebody has been, if you're totally in someone's camp, you're not going to say, nah, that wasn't it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
like if you're in the Beehive, you're going to be, I don't know anybody in the Beehive who would ever question anything Beyonce does. It's like if you're in the MAGA movement, like, no matter what, like, you're never going to question
What a comparison.
You know what I'm saying? If you're but I'm just saying, like, if you're was, in Kamala's camp, like, you never saw her flaws. Like, it was always this. I mean, just where we are, just like with Kendrick. So it's amazing we went from Kendrick to Beyonce. People, you're either on one side or another, and no matter what the people at the middle do, or the people you're supporting do, you're going to either support it 100% or rail against it 100%. There's no middle ground. So, like I said, I thought it was a manufactured situation with this album. She checked off the box, and society allowed her to do that. The industry allowed her to do that. I don't know how great the album is. It's not for me, but I like you said, and you said it, and I said I was going to leave you with the final word, and I will acquiesce to that. Greatness can be understood and appreciated and recognized, even if you don't necessarily agree with or that's your cup of tea.
The Recording Academy has also gotten a bit more diverse. They've really made a push towards that. And I think that you could see that diversity at play here, not just with Beyonce winning Album of the Year, but Kendrick winning Song of the Year or Record of the Year for Not Like Us, Doechii winning winning rap album or rap single of the year, right? Like something that only Cardi B and Lauryn Hill had done before her. So I think that the Recording Academy is working to try and get more diverse people in, more people from different backgrounds in, and I would expect that we get more of these types of people. And by these types of people, I mean super talented Black people with stories to tell being actually recognized by the Grammys once and for all. I will say, I don't like ranch dressing, and I will fight you about ranch dressing and where it belongs on the condiment rankings. I have to recognize, though, ranch dressing is a good condiment because all the people are eating ranch dressing, Mike. And I'll leave it at that as it pertains to Beyonce. We got Southern Heritage Classic news, Mike. Tennessee State out. They're not coming down to Memphis this year for this year's iteration of the Southern Heritage Classic. That is some sad news for me personally. I love the Classic. It's one of the things that I get up for the most in this city. Fred Jones, in talking to various reporters, I saw it in an article on the Tennessean. He said, "Look, listen, I offered Tennessee State a 5-year, $400,000 annual package where every year they were going to get $400,000 to come and stay in the Classic. Tennessee State's going through a big old mess where the state legislature is getting involved. I know their band director has been put on leave or outright suspended. I don't think he's been fired just yet. And they're like, listen, the finances just got to add up, and they're not adding up for us right now. Mike, man, where do you think the Classic goes from here? Is this a thing that sort of dooms this Classic, Southern Heritage Classic, and ends it once and for all, or can it find somebody to replace Tennessee State and Jackson State?
You know what? That's a significant blow. You know, I mean, I thought I thought the Jackson State departure obviously is the bigger blow, right? Tennessee State couldn't carry the Classic the last couple of years, and maybe it's because Tennessee State people really needed Jackson State to bring out the
Mike,
best.
It's a rivalry.
It's a rivalry. So
may I have your attention, please?
Yo, don't tell me we're going to fire alarm.
Attention, please.
Oh my goodness!
We're currently experiencing an intermittent power outage.
Oh, okay.
All right, here we go.
Entire downtown core.
Damn. Okay. Can you guys hear that? Can you hear that?
Yeah, we got it. The entire power outage. So Toronto's got a power outage.
Operating per bank.
Is this terror related? What's going on in Toronto?
Man, this is wild.
Food and beverage services currently been stopped in the meantime.
Food and beverage services have been stopped.
Good thing you ate, Mike.
Hey, I got mine right here, right out the way. So I still got mine here.
Are the elevators operational?
I'm gonna let him finish. We're gonna keep this going, man. We're gonna keep this as
I want to hear more about whether or not this is operational. Oh my goodness.
Please pick up your phone and call the operator, and security will head up immediately.
If you can't get out your room?
Provide updates as we get them from local utilities. Thank you very much.
So I guess I probably should. Well, hold up, because we might lose internet then. Right?
If we lose it, Mike, we lose it. We keep it rolling, man.
Yeah,
We're good.
Which is wild, because if you have a power outage and you still have Wi-Fi, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
that's one thing going for Canada right there. if we lose power in Memphis, we ain't having Wi-Fi.
You lose
power,
baby.
Power grid Canada has, man, but we need to get on that for sure.
You mess around, lose power in Memphis, the wind stop blowing, right? Nothing's happening. You done. The sun go dark. You got nothing, man.
So we're going to ride it out as we ride out, man. And
Southern Heritage Classic, Mike.
Yes. It's a big blow. It's a big blow. And you said what the next steps are. And I don't ever bet against Fred Jones. I don't count Fred Jones out, because this is a man that has been able to do a lot of things in a lot of different areas, whether it was being part of the recruiting pitch to bring the NBA to Memphis, whether it was helping Stacks and Isaac Hayes and them get that Grammy and that Oscar, all of those years back, to setting up one of the longest running HBCU football classics that we've ever seen. So I'm not going to count them out, but this is a huge reset right now. You lose 2 flagship programs in a span of 2 years, and Arkansas Pine Bluff is committed to coming back, but they're not going to drive the classic at all. So I think you're going to have a stopgap team put in there somewhere to try to play them. I don't know if you can go get a Tuskegee or God forbid, you have to have the event. You have to continue to have the weekend, and a football game has to be part of it. Maybe you can say, all right, just for 1 year, we're going to have, UAPB versus, Lane, or UAPB versus Alabama. But that's the other thing. You can't mess up the SWAC conference schedule to try to get this game in either. So it's going to be tough, man, to find another team right now. I hope this isn't it, but they're definitely going to have to take a pivot as quickly as possible.
Just for a comparison, Jackson State and Southern Miss, it was announced they'll be playing one another on the gridiron, and Jackson State is going to get $375,000 for that game, right? So the Classic was offering Tennessee State $400,000, which is about $25,000 more than that buy game. And Tennessee State was like, nah, they've got some things there that they're going through up there that we hadn't talked about, that they really got to figure out from a finance standpoint. That they've laid off a bunch of people. They're asking students to give back some of their financial aid money. It's a real weird time up in Nashville at Tennessee State.
Well, I will say this, though. That game that you mentioned, Jackson State and Southern Miss, that's one that the expenses, even they can take a little bit less money, especially if they're going to be going to Southern Miss. I don't think that game is going to be at Jackson, though, right? That game is going to be
it's in Southern Miss, yeah.
So here's the reason why that makes financial sense to them, because that's basically, they have to play a road game anyway. It's an in-state team that's only located within 2 hours of where their campus is. So you could get from Jackson to Hattiesburg pretty quickly. Jackson State will wake up. If that's going to be a night game, there's a good chance Jackson State is going to wake up and bust down there. If not probably not the night before. They're going to go down there the morning of that game and play that game from that standpoint, because they won't have expenses to incur based on hotel and based on all of these other things that go into it. It's essentially going to go pick up a check, play a game, and come right back at no cost, basically, other than what your logistical costs are in terms of the buses and all of that kind of stuff. So with this one, you're required to be in Memphis for the Southern Heritage Classic for 3 days or 2 days if you're the team, because of the different events and things that go on around it. And that costs, it costs a 2-night stay to house a team that has, 50, 60, 70, 80 players. So it's a little bit, it's not necessarily apples and oranges when you compare the financial ramifications of it, but that's a good reason to say, hey, these teams can look elsewhere. They're not, hell bent on playing in the Southern Heritage Classic anymore. But Fred has to find some other teams that are.
And since you brought it up, Mike, here's our pick six this week. Potential teams are playing this year's Southern Heritage Classic.
All right.
Here we go, Mike.
Yep.
And here's the tough thing, because like you said, man, you don't want to throw off the SWAC schedule, although we see time and time again, year in, year out, where SWAC teams play one another in the out of conference. So that's something that can be done. Stars up there, when I checked, I did this list on Monday, and when I checked Monday and I hadn't heard anything about these teams since then, the star denotes a team whose schedule's already completed, but I put them on there because, hey, like maybe in the future it would be fun to see what they can do. We'll start at number 6, Mike. FAMU. Getting FAMU up here. FAMU is one of those teams in the FCS that's pulling people in. Like, they're a brand. They matter not just in HBCUs, not just in the SWAC, but in all of FCS. FAMU ranks 9th in attendance. And so much about these classics is, hey, are your fans going to travel? And I think FAMU fans will travel. FAMU going back to the Orange Blossom Classic. So there's hope there, Mike, with the Southern Heritage Classic. If FAMU can go back to the Orange Blossom, where I do believe they'll take on Howard this year, then, hey, Tennessee State and or Jackson State, there's a good chance. There's a chance that they could come back in our lifetime. Next up, Mike, Southern. That's the one I really want them to go out there and get, is Southern, because I think that fan base travels well. Also, Southern, 7th in the nation this past year in FCS attendance, 18,000 plus fans in attendance for their home games. Southern is another one of those brands. Really, really good band. I'd love to see their band get on the field as well. I think it would be fun to see them there. At number 4, Grambling, Mike. I put that on there just for you because I know Mike Wallace would be really, really excited to see Grambling State come up here and play some football there. And it also, like, it's a brand. So all three of those, FAMU, Southern, Grambling, are all brands that people recognize, not just where they are located, but nationally and in the city. So it's you're going to get some fans traveling for Team X. You're going to get some teams traveling for Team Y. But what's going to make Memphians want to go out there and partake in classic activities? It is the name on the jersey. It's, oh, Grambling's here. I hadn't seen them. I know about Grambling. Let me go over there and see what Grambling has to offer. Number 3, Alabama A&M. I think Alabama A&M is not. I think it is close. 2.5, maybe 3 hours away. So about the same distance from Memphis as Jackson State and/or Tennessee State. It's something that I think they have a decent enough following to where they will travel up here. And it's something that I think would also get the people interested and intrigued by. Norfolk State is at 2. And Norfolk State is at 2 only because of Mike Vick, right? Mike Vick is a name that will bring people out. So if you could go out there and grab them and get them, say, hey, come on down, that would be a hell of a get by Fred Jones in the Southern Heritage Classic. I think it would do that classic would do numbers because of the high-profile nature of Mike Vick. And number 1, Alabama State. Outside of Jackson State, man, Alabama State, 18,868 fans in attendance this past season at home games. That's top 5 in all of the FCS. I've seen Alabama State go out there and travel really, really well as also. So I think Alabama State has a fan base that travels. And I'm not saying as good as a Jackson State or a Florida A&M, but they're right there with those 2 schools just behind them. So that's the 6 teams I would like to see play in this year's Southern Heritage Classic, Mike.
I will say this too. Those are all, like you said, either brands or brand names. When you talk about Mike Vick and what they're able to do, the challenge with Southern, with FAMU, Southern, Grambling, the challenge with all six of them, is that they're going to have to figure out how to manipulate their conference schedule. The Southern Heritage Classic is Labor Day weekend for the most part. Most teams aren't necessarily in the teeth of their conference schedule until after that. So trying to get two SWAC teams to match up in Memphis, that might be a challenge one way or another from that standpoint. So you almost have to have, and that's what allowed Tennessee State to be so.
That's why this classic was perfect, man.
Yeah, because they're not in the SWAC. So I think for the next year or two, we're going to have to temper our expectations of what these teams are. He might have to go the Division II route and maybe get two Division II teams, or UAPB versus a Central State or something like that, where they can just say, all right, there's a reason why I want to come to this game. We can recruit in the South and do all of those things. But I hope that, look, I go all the way back to when Grambling first played in this game in '93. That was my freshman year at Grambling. So, I remember being in Memphis for that game back then when he had to pivot because Jackson State and Tennessee State either weren't available or weren't interested for that year. So I've seen him pivot. I'm going to see him pivot again. UAPB is committed. Now they just have to find an opponent to go up against them for this coming year.
You brought up Tuskegee, Mike, and Tuskegee's a fan base, and we saw Tuskegee at Alabama A&M's homecoming 2 years ago. There was a reason why it was the largest crowd in Alabama A&M homecoming history. It wasn't just Alabama A&M fans, but it was Tuskegee fans also. We see Tuskegee, Morehouse, that classic in Columbus, Georgia, how they take over that city. I don't know, though, Mike, if Tuskegee would travel for this.
Well, it couldn't be. Like for what I'm saying, though, CJ, is I'm not saying long term that a Division II team is the answer. I'm saying for next year and maybe second year. And then you can start renegotiating with some of these bigger brands. You just need a game there. Like, you need a game to anchor what the other events are. Because for this coming season, this coming year, 2025, the events are going to have to drive it. You know what I mean? The local participation, the parades, the concerts, those things. And the game will just have to be secondary. So you can get a Tuskegee and a UAPB there and not have to sell out the stadium. But you do need someone that's going to bring the tailgate. You do need someone that's going to, be able to allow you to put the other events on Friday, Saturday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday leading up to it. And then you go bigger fishing, fishing for bigger fish after this year.
Fred Jones said that he reached out to Jackson State about trying to come back, but they already got a game on their schedule. You know who that team is they're playing, Mike?
Who?
Tuskegee.
Wow.
Wow. So what I'm recklessly speculating, Mike.
Bring it over.
Jackson State might have been willing to come back had they not had that game with Tuskegee, boy.
Or
Tuskegee's playing Jackson State. I got to get to that.
You got to get to that. Or you could try to convince Jackson State to move that game to Memphis for this year. Because I'm assuming that game.
What do you do with Pine Bluff?
Huh?
What do you do with Pine Bluff?
You tell them, hey, look, man, we got y'all next year. Y'all got next. Y'all got. You know how when you were a kid on the courts, man, and you was definitely in line to be next, and then some bigger kids came in and was like, man, hey, I'm gonna pick you, I'm gonna put you on my team, and then you never got put on their team.
Never got put on. You just
sat
at the bar.
Have next after next.
Yeah.
All right, I got next after next. You gonna have next after next.
I look forward to seeing, like you do, Mike, what happens with the Southern Heritage Classic and Fred Jones. If anybody can figure it out, it's them over there, and it's him in particular over there with the Southern Heritage Classic. Before we get out of here, a couple of quick things. North Carolina A&T bowling, Mike, beat not one, not two, not three, not four, but five. Beat five of the top five teams. Beat the entire top five at the Prairie View A&M Invite in Arlington, Texas. Mike, that's incredible.
That is incredible. Bowling became more and more popular at HBCUs over the last 20 years, 25 years. Not every HBCU has a bowling team, but it definitely is one way that HBCUs have been able to, meet some of the Title IX requirements that balance out male athletes versus female athletes and funding that goes into athletic departments. Bowling is a fun sport, man. And it gets competitive. It doesn't require, a whole lot of money in terms of investment. And it's good to see that, when you get it right, just like Fisk's gymnastics team, when you get it right and you have a special player that can come in, they can change the entire landscape of your program. So kudos to North Carolina A&T and their bowling team for doing big things in recent weeks.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mo Carter, friend of the show, just shot me a text message. Apparently, Mike, I missed this. The Legacy Series, Tennessee State versus Alabama A&M, starting this year. It will be in Nashville, September 13th. That's Classic Weekend this year.
Wow.
2025. It'll be in Huntsville, September 12th, 2026. It'll be back in Nashville in 2027, and then back in Huntsville one more time for 2028. So they got a 4-year series, Alabama A&M and Tennessee State. And I thought that was going to be this year's matchup at the Southern Heritage Classic, but no, they're just going to do a home and home, Mike. So go ahead and you can pop Alabama A&M off of my list.
Yeah. And what you're seeing again, is that unless you have, so that goes back to this. And now that I'm seeing this picture develop, it goes back to what Deion Sanders said. And again, we're going back to that subject real quick. What makes the Florida Classic successful is that it's a built-in conference game. It's Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman. So they have to play each other. And Orlando is a meeting spot, a major city in the state where they recruit from. They have vested interest in that. Circle City Classic is one that has to do some work because they're in Indianapolis. There's not a traditional home for any HBCU. So that's why they've had to jump around and get Division II teams and, Division HBCU FCS teams and all of that kind of thing. Bayou Classic is a conference game. The Magic City Classic is a conference game. So you're seeing something happen now that if you're going to have a neutral site classic that's not a conference game, it's going to be really, really tough for these teams because they can move the middleman out of the way, which is what, unfortunately, Deion Primetime Sanders said. We don't need a promoter in 2025 to put on a football game. We could do that. We got athletic directors who can do their own promoting. And that was a subtle shot at Fred Jones, but it was a reality of what these teams are moving and going about doing. Tennessee State moved out the middleman and did a home and home with the team that's right down the road from them that they can knock this out and make all of the money one way or another.
Yeah. Again, trust Fred Jones. Look forward to seeing what they do over at the Southern Heritage Classic. That'll do it for this week's episode. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Mike, I guess you got to take the stairs to get out of there, huh? And the elevator's not working, man.
I know, man. Hopefully, I'm gonna give it a minute. The lights are still on. Oh, you know what? The lights just went out. So hey, we'll figure out what's gonna happen here in a little bit. But my Wi-Fi is working, so I'm good.
All right, that'll do it for this episode of HBCU Huddle. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Come back next week. We'll have more for you. For Mike, I'm CJ. Everybody take care. Enjoy the Super Bowl.